6 hours ago, I put 2 racks of ribs in that smoker, and gotta tell you, this has been the easiest cook ever. Matter of fact, the only thing difficult about this cook has been making this video. So I haven't even had a chance to have a beer yet. It's been too easy. I haven't deserved it, but about to crack open my first beer here. This is the Lost Coast Hazy IPA. Let's check this out. Cheers. Nice. That's good. I like that a lot. Let's see what we got in the chamber. I have not opened this lid yet. 6 hours ago, this lid went down and have not opened it once since. Let's see what we got. Ooh. Oh, yeah. I like the look of that. Oh, yeah. Would you look at that? Man, that was exactly what I'm hoping for. This looks beautiful. I cannot wait to taste this. Got St. Louis style pork ribs here. Spicy style. And a half rack of beef ribs here. I cannot wait to sink my teeth in these bad boys. Watch this video and I'm going to show you how to do the easiest barbecuing you can do in an offset smoker. In here, controlling the temperature is easy. Up, down, up, down. Very easy. Out here, cooking with an offset smoker, not so easy. There's no cool little knob to turn up and down to instantly control temperature. So out here, you have to control temperature by controlling the amount of fuel you're burning, and maybe by controlling airflow depending on what you're burning. Now, if you're burning wood, you can't control temperature by controlling airflow, or you'll end up with really foul tasting smoke coating your food, and that's no good. But there is a way to do it that makes cooking with an offset smoker a lot easier, something that's not so labor intensive. It's using charcoal. My name's Tony, this is Tony Tone Barbecue, and I'm going to show you how to use your offset smoker with charcoal only to make it really, really easy to do these really long cooks. We're talking 6 hours, 9, 12, 16 hours using just charcoal so that you're not constantly feeding wood into your offset smoker. So why should you care what I have to say about barbecue? Well, this is why. This is my cheap, inexpensive offset smoker. I wouldn't say it's cheap. This is a great high quality offset smoker. It's the Char Griller Smoking Champ, but it's your average backyard barbecue. This is my backyard, and I'm just like you. That's why. I got into barbecue many years ago. I've been grilling and using gas barbecues and everything my whole life, and in charcoal for many years. And one day I decided to go shopping for a new barbecue, and I never heard of an offset smoker before, but I saw this at Home Depot, and I was like, ooh, what is this? How does this thing work? And I started looking into offset smokers and smoking meats, and I was like, wow, that sounds really cool. I want to get into it. And so I bought this rig, and I've cooked hundreds of meals on this barbecue. And you know what? At first, I sucked at it. It was not great. It was a bad experience because I automatically wanted to use wood, and I was using splits in this smoker that were too big for it. I was creating dirty smoke, that fluffy white smoke that made my barbecue taste really bad. And the terrible thing was I didn't even know I was making horrible tasting barbecue. I thought I was doing a great job because I was using this offset smoker. What I didn't realize is I was getting the wrong kind of flavor. I was getting a flavor on my food that tasted just like an ashtray. And I started to realize pretty quickly I was doing something wrong. So I had to do a lot more research. I watched a lot of other people's videos. I watched a lot of documentaries and shows about barbecuing, and I started picking up all kinds of techniques. And I actually got some books, did a lot of reading, and I did a lot of trial and error. And I figured out how to do amazing barbecue, how to run the best kind of smoke, nice thin, clean blue smoke, by using wood. And something that I've been noticing is that a lot of people really struggle with that. And for a lot of people, it kills the funness of cooking and barbecuing with an offset smoker. So I thought, you know what, how about I do a video on something that would simplify it a lot for a lot of people? Because a lot of people just kind of forget about charcoal. Good old-fashioned charcoal. Yes, you can use that on an offset smoker, and it works really, really great. Look inside here. I've got a nice pile of charcoal in there that's been burning away for a couple of hours now. And I'm doing something with that charcoal that you can't do with wood. You cannot do this with wood. You cannot choke down the airflow if you're using wood. Up here, I have it choked down also. You can't do that if you're using wood. If you choke the air on wood that's burning inside that box, the wood will then start to smolder. And if the wood is smoldering, you're going to get white smoke flowing through your cooking chamber and out that stack. And that white smoke is going to make your food taste nasty. So the only way you control the temperature if you're burning wood is by controlling how much wood you're burning. That kind of takes out a little bit of the fun in offset smoking, because it can be a struggle until you really get the process down and you're constantly throwing wood in there. And if you're doing an 8-hour, 9-hour, 16-hour cook, you're just every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, throwing more wood in there. And you know what? It all depends too on the size of your smoker, and your environment, the wood you're using and everything. But for the most part, yeah, cooking with an offset smoker is going to be some work. And until you get really, really good at it, it can be a lot of work. For me, it's super easy. I can run, a good 16-hour cook, and it's like no big deal. I don't sit by my offset smoker all the time, every minute, tending to the fire. I'm off doing other stuff, and I got my little remote temperature thermometer just running around, and it beeps at me if the temperature is going off. But I've got the process down that it's super easy to do. Well, it takes a while to get there. And for some people, it can kind of kill the whole funness. So charcoal is a great alternative. You can choke off the airflow on charcoal. You can put a big fat pile of charcoal in your firebox like I have there, and you can get that charcoal burning nice and hot, so hot that the temperature will be way higher than you need it to be, and then you can just choke down the air so the charcoal does burn cooler. It doesn't smolder and make that nasty smoke. There is no nasty smoke coming out of this stack, just a lot of really hot air, and the temperature is up where I want it. It's cooking perfectly, and literally it's been an hour since I've done anything, hour and a half since I've done anything, with the last time I threw some charcoal in there. I've only had to add charcoal to the box once, and this is going to be a 6-hour cook. It's on about almost 5 hours right now. So I want to show you how to do this. Now, if you find this information helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button. As a matter of fact, if you want to learn more about temperature management using wood and white smoke versus thin blue smoke, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Look up some of my other videos. I've done a video on temperature management that's really, really in-depth on how to control your temperature using wood and white smoke versus thin blue smoke. Super informative. Watch that video, and don't forget to, like I said, don't forget to subscribe. If this video is helpful, give me that thumbs up. I appreciate it. And please give me your comments, your questions. I'll do my best to get back to you and provide any additional information I can. I hope this helps. Enjoy. Okay, I've got a Weber charcoal starting chimney full of Kingsford charcoal. It's just the regular standard Kingsford charcoal, and it's hot and ready to go into the firebox. Let's throw that in. Okay, I know right out the gate for what I'm doing today, that one chimney full is not going to be enough. So I've got a little bucket full of some more charcoal that I'm going to throw in here. I'm just kind of arranging the charcoal right now to kind of move it a little bit away from the cooking chamber. Create a little bit of a bed here. Just going to make sure not to block the intake vent, because right now I'm keeping that intake vent wide open. Good. Throw some more of this charcoal in here. That ought to do it. I'm going to rearrange to get that charcoal on the top and get it away from the intake vent. My goal right now is to create a really hot fire. There we go. All right, I'm going to let that catch and get going really hot before I close that lid. I'm going to leave that lid open right now. Going to get lots of air, and the rest of that charcoal is going to get nice and covered in white ash and burning really hot, and then I'll go ahead and close the lid. Okay, for those of you who are curious what's going on in the smoker today, I like my barbecue to be really spicy. And what I'm doing today actually is just kind of something fun for me. I've got a rack of St. Louis style pork ribs here that I've slathered with my own special salsa that I make. It's a chili darabol salsa with garlic. It is super, super spicy. Really, really great. Tons of flavor. And I've slathered both sides of this rack of ribs with that. And then I rubbed it with a nice thick layer of my own concoction barbecue rub here. And over here, I've got a half rack of beef back ribs. They're not the meatiest. I'm just doing this for fun. I wanted to coat this with Worcestershire sauce before applying my steakhouse rub here, but found out I'm out of Worcestershire sauce. So I decided, hey, let's try some Tabasco sauce. So I wet the whole thing down to both sides with Tabasco sauce and coated it liberally also with the steakhouse rub. So these are going to come out awesome. Okay, the coals are all nice and hot now. We've got a really blazing hot fire going in there, so I'm going to close that up. Right now I've got my side vent wide open over here. I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm going to go ahead, now that the heat is coming out of there, rising, I'm going to close up the cooking chamber lid. And I want to let this thing climb up in temperature. I want that gauge to go over 300 and let it get nice and hot before I put the meat on the grill. Okay, the charcoal's nice and hot. Got a good fire going on in there. The temperature on the gauge up top here is showing over 300 like I wanted it to be. And I've got a couple of probes in here. Also, there's one right there and there's one more right here. So I can tell what the temperature is right here at the grate surface. And I've got a couple I'm hooked up to their guys over here. One is showing 268, the other one is showing 259. And I'm gonna use those to keep an eye on things. It's time to get the meat on the grill. All right, I've got the meat on the grill. Now, easy part. I'm gonna close up this lid. Temperature is gonna come back up here, and now all I need to do is maintain a temperature of around 250 degrees at the grate surface, for the next 6 hours or so. Okay, I've let the temperature climb to as high as it's going to get for the amount of charcoal that I have in the firebox right there. I've let it get higher than I want it for barbecuing what I'm doing today because I wanted to show you. So 288 degrees on one, 307 on the other. That's because one probe is way over here, the other probe is way over there, which is normal for this type of offset smoker. Now I'm going to do something that is a major no-no if you are using wood. Something that if you've seen some of my other videos, I've talked about extensively. This is something you do not do when using wood. There's the air intake. I'm closing it. I'm gonna crack it open just a little bit. I mean, barely cracked open. Now this thing isn't a perfectly sealed box, so even though that is mostly closed, air still seeps in from the little cracks and crevices here and there. And up here, you see all the smoke? No? That's right. You're not going to see any smoke. That's good. That's the most important thing you want to watch out for. Not only did I close that one off, I'm going to close this one too. I'm going to really restrict the airflow inside the cooking chamber. I'm going to really restrict the amount of air that charcoal is getting. So I'm going to, and by doing that, I'm going to reduce how hot it burns. And this temperature, which on this gauge now is showing 312, and look, it just popped down to 310. I'm going to give this a couple minutes, and we're going to see that this thing is going to drop all the way down to, as far as I want it to go, but I'm shooting for 250. Let's see if we can do it. And then let's see how much smoke we're getting out of that stack there. So far, we're still not getting any smoke. Okay, it's been 15 minutes since I choked off the air supply, and after about 10 minutes it was looking like the temperature wasn't quite falling as quickly as I wanted it to, so I closed this one down a little bit more. There's still some airflow. I still feel hot air coming out of there, but what I don't see is I don't see any white smoke. Now the temperature is actually at 248, a little bit lower than I want it to be, and considering how rapidly it's dropped, I'm pretty sure that if I leave it choked off the way it is, it's going to fall even more and maybe even put the charcoal out. I don't want that. I'm going to open that up a little bit there and use my little grate tool here, because this is hot, to open that up just a little bit more, to let a little bit more airflow in. And my goal in doing this is to get the temperature to stabilize where I want it. But most importantly, no white smoke. The reason for that is charcoal, when it's fully lit up, doesn't create that nasty white smoke that wood creates when you choke off the air supply. Charcoal is different. Charcoal, you can choke off the air supply. Now the trick here is to get the airflow just right for that big giant pile of charcoal that's in here to burn and create the temperature that you want for the duration of your cook. And it takes a little bit of finessing. You have to get to really know your rig, and you have to kind of experiment it with it. So the way I always start this off is I always start off with a really high temperature. There's a couple of reasons for that. Part of it is to kind of help sanitize the inside of the cooking chamber, but it also helps get the whole cooking chamber really, really hot so that the temperature is more even throughout and it maintains a constant temperature. The other thing is just regulating that airflow for your charcoal. If you have it choked off too much on both ends, the temperature is going to keep on falling. If you have it open too much, the temperature is going to keep on rising. But when you find just the right settings, what you'll find is a big pile of charcoal, like what's in that cook box right there, is actually going to last for a really, really long time, which is kind of nice when you're used to, well, let me take that back. It's really, really nice when, especially when you're kind of newer to using an offset smoker, to be able to not have to be constantly managing and tending that fire. Charcoal is much, much easier to work with because that temperature is going to maintain itself for a much longer time. So I wanted to show you what that beeping was. That's my probe telling me that the temperature did come up to above 250 degrees. I can quiet that now. And 250 to 260 is right where I want to keep the temperature for this cook. So now I just need to see if I got my my intake and my exhaust dampers set right. I'll know that over the course of the next few minutes. If that temperature keeps going up, well, then I want to choke it off a little bit. If the temperature starts to fall, then I want to open it up a little bit. Once I get it to the right spot, I don't have to mess with it for a long time. All right, so it's been about a half hour since I set the vents, and pretty much nailed it. You can see the temperature is at 253 right now on the probe. I haven't touched that top vent. There is no fluffy white smoke coming out of there. It's actually super hard to see any smoke coming out of there. I can definitely see heat waves coming out of there, and the air is moving through very nicely. I haven't touched the bottom vent either. That's still where it is, and things are looking really good. I set my ThermPro here to squawk at me if the temperature gets to 260 degrees. It will also squawk at me if the temperature drops down to 245 degrees. So now I'm just going to attach this thing to my hip, and I'm going to go about my business, and we're going to see how long this goes before I need to do anything to adjust to maintain the temperature. What's going to happen eventually is that pile of charcoal is going to burn down far enough to where it's not producing the same heat, and at that point what I'm going to need to do is probably open up the vents a little bit more and just let a little bit more air flow through. Eventually I'm going to need to add some more charcoal, so we'll see how that looks. All right, it's 2:30 and it's been an hour and a half since I started this process, since I put the meat on the grill. It's also been about 30 minutes since my last check-in here, and my remote here just started squawking at me a little bit. It got down to 245, and since the time it took me to walk outside here, it went up 2 degrees. That's pretty typical. That just means that pile is kind of burning down a little bit, and I don't think it's time to add any more charcoal yet. Let's have a quick look. Normally I wouldn't even open this, but still lots of charcoal in there. So all I'm going to do is going to give that a little tap, and going to open this one up just a little bit there, not much, just to let a little bit more air flow, and hopefully that wasn't too much, but this still got a long way to go before I need to add any charcoal. It's been pretty easy. Well, it's 3 o'clock. It's been another half hour since. We're 2 hours in, and this thing just woke me up from a very nice nap. It started squawking at me when it hit 244, and then it bounced right back up to 247. Let's open up this one a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, see? There it goes again. So, might as well have a look and see what's happening over here. Still got a pretty nice big pile of coals over there. Just gonna let it go a while longer. All right, it's 4 o'clock, and my remote here started squawking at me, telling me the temperature dropped down to 244. And I am now 3 hours into this cook, and I'm guessing that charcoal pile is kind of starting to get a little small. First time opening up this lid now. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's gotten a little weak there. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more charcoal and build that up. Now there's a couple ways you can add charcoal. One way is you can bust out the chimney and load it up and light it up and throw the hot coals in there. I'm not feeling that ambitious today. I want to take the more lazy approach, and all I'm going to do is I'm maybe just going to shift that around a little bit. Going to take my, sorry for all the camera movement, I'm going to take my long screwdriver here, and I'm going to just kind of run it underneath here. I just opened that up all the way just to make sure there's no ash blocking the airflow. And I'm just going to rearrange this a little bit, not much, because I don't want to disturb and break down these coals. I'm just going to put some more charcoal right on top of that. Here we go. Okay, I've got a nice new pile, big pile of charcoal on top of the coals that are in there, and you can see it's smoking like crazy right now. And in about 15 minutes that charcoal is going to be fully lit and flames are going to be coming out of it. It's going to be nice and hot, and I'm going to leave the lid open like this until then. I kind of started over. Basically I made sure that vent down there is wide open. I also opened up the smokestack up top over here, so it's wide open. The temperature inside the cooking chamber is dropped to 180 degrees. I'm not even concerned about that. It's going to be maybe 15 minutes before I can close that lid. I just don't want that smoke going through the chamber and settling on the food. It probably wouldn't make any big difference, but I don't like to risk it. I'm just going to leave that open. I'm going to let that catch fire really well and then close it and then continue cooking. With a pile of coal like that, I doubt that I'm going to need to add any more. That should take me through the rest of this total 6-hour cook. All right, those coals are looking good. It's been about 15 minutes, and check this out. Even though that lid is wide open and been open the whole time, temperature inside the cooking chamber has come up to 228 degrees and climbing. That fire is hot. So, time to go ahead and close the lid and repeat the process of choking off the air so that we get that fire, that heat to calm down a little bit. So, there's enough of it's lit that where it's not going to be producing a bunch of smoke coming out. Let's go ahead and tap that closed most of the way there. Okay. It's shut down pretty tight. And let's close up the airflow up here also to slow the movement, that flow of air, which will then cause that charcoal to not burn as hot. We'll see the temperature check again here in a few minutes. Oh, see, it already popped up to 251 just by closing that door, and it's going to keep climbing. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. Now it's at 256, and make sure that I've choked it down enough to where it'll set in there. There's 260. My goal is to keep it between 245 and 260, and I want it actually closer to 260, so just going to make sure it's choked down enough to stay right in there. Easy peasy. I have not opened this lid yet. 6 hours ago, this lid went down and have not opened it once since. Let's see what we got. Ooh. Oh, yeah. I like the look of that. Oh, yeah. Would you look at that? Man. That was exactly what I'm hoping for. This looks beautiful. I cannot wait to taste this. Got St. Louis style pork ribs here. Spicy style. And a half rack of beef ribs here. I cannot wait to sink my teeth in these bad boys. So that's it. That's how you can barbecue in your offset smoker using charcoal. And makes things really, really easy. It's a great way to start off so that you're not struggling constantly with the fire when you're using wood. And like it's just a great way to get started and enjoy barbecuing. The flavor, believe it or not, when you cook with charcoal is amazing. You know, it has a different flavor than hickory and a different flavor than mesquite. I mean, really, pretty much anything you cook with is going to have its own flavor. Charcoal has a fantastic flavor. And, you know, it gives you the opportunity to really just focus more on the food and the product that you're cooking. You know, focus more on the seasonings, the rubs, sauces, and all that stuff that you're using when you're not having to stress about the fire all the time. So, hey, I hope you found this video informative and helpful. And thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. And if you know, if you thought it was great, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you thought it was stupid, give me a thumbs down. And please subscribe. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, maybe the notification bell, so that way when future videos come up, you can check that out too. I've definitely got more stuff coming. I really like focusing on, you know, how things work versus recipes, but I do have recipes coming. So if you're interested, make sure to subscribe. All right, thanks. Take care.